Do you know what awaits us after death? This man hoped to reach heaven, but instead, he had to pass through the 7 circles of hell. This is a review of the movie along with the gods, the 2 worlds. Kim Ja-hong works as a firefighter. He saves a little girl from a burning skyscraper, but his safety rope catches fire and snaps. The man and the child fall from a great height. Ja-hong's whole life flashes before his eyes. However, the man opens his eyes and realizes that he is alive, and so is the child. He sees the rescued girl being hugged by her parents. He approaches to ask her name, but instead of an answer, he hears someone persistently repeating his name. Turning around, Ja-hong sees a man and a woman dressed in black. The strange pair fearlessly stands under falling debris. The strangers approach him. The woman smiles and informs him that Kim Ja-hong died on April 28, 2017, exactly as scheduled. The mysterious people in black call him a paragon, a man who died nobly. They introduce themselves as guardians of the afterlife, Haewon-mak and Lee Deok-chun. Ja-hong would like to think this is some kind of joke, but sadly it's not. Ja-hong sees his body lying on the ground and the firefighters trying to revive him. He realizes this is truly the end. A portal opens behind him and pulls him in. At the gates of the afterlife, they are joined by a third guardian, Gangrim. A huge crowd of people parts, allowing their hero to pass. A blazing fiery inscription confirms the status of his noble soul. With the guardians, he passes through the gates and enters hell. Here he must face 7 accusations in court: betrayal, cruelty, disrespect, murder, laziness, slander, and dishonor. At the first trial, Ja-hong is accused of murder. The ground beneath him opens up to reveal a true hellish abyss, filled with the desperate cries of guilty souls. Ja-hong is about to join them. The problem is that once, he left his partner behind in a fire, which is seen as clear proof of his guilt. But Gangrim, acting as his lawyer, reveals the truth to the court. Yes, Ja-hong did leave his partner, but his partner was pinned under a concrete slab, and there were still other living people in the building who needed saving. Ja-hong tried to return for his friend but didn't have time because there was an explosion. However, he did manage to save 8 people from the fire. The mirror of karma shows this as the absolute truth, and the god of murder declares Ja-hong not guilty. The paragon and the guardians cross the river of laziness to the second trial. Gangrim advises the firefighter not to interact with the goddess of laziness. At the trial, the truth about our hero's hard life is revealed. Ja-hong worked as a firefighter, delivered vegetables, cleaned floors at a sauna, worked as a waiter, and drove a taxi. He even saved a kitten. The goddess of laziness asks why he did all this, and he replies that it was all for money. At this point, the judge's attitude shifts. She declares that money is his god and prepares to deliver a guilty verdict. Gangrim and Haewon-mak dive into the water and, while holding onto the raft with Ja-hong as it drifts toward a massive waterfall, they prove that our hero did indeed work for money. But he sent the money to his sick mother and younger brother. The mirror of karma confirms this, and the goddess of laziness declares Ja-hong not guilty. Through the forest of blades, our hero and the guardians head to the trial of slander. Here, he will be judged for all the lies he told during his life. The guardians confess that the king of the afterlife, Yama, promised them that if they helped 49 souls reincarnate within 100 years, they too would get the chance. Ja-hong is number 48. Part of the journey is covered on a boat speeding through a water channel. Suddenly, the boat is pursued by ghouls, hellish monsters intent on destroying them. The cause is a vengeful spirit from the world of the living. Someone related to Ja-hong died with a lot of anger and remained on Earth to seek revenge. Gangrim heads to the living world to find the vengeful spirit. In the living world, he visits Ja-hong's home and discovers that Ja-hong's younger brother Soo-hong had died. The vengeful spirit hides from the guardians and flies away. Gangrim chases him but cannot catch him. The guardian reaches the military base where the boy served and learns that he deserted 3 days ago. Meanwhile, Ja-hong's third trial begins, and he is accused of lying. It turns out that our hero wrote 98 letters to the daughter of a fallen firefighter, promising her that he would return to her. Haewon-mak loses faith that Ja-hong will be acquitted, so he asks Gangrim for help. The guardian contacts Deok-chun and admits that the defendant lied not only to the poor girl but also to his own mother for 15 years. He sent her letters about his happy life, with a wife and son, which he never actually had. Was it wrong? Yes. But those letters helped his mother cope with her illness. As for the poor girl, on the one hand, the letters gave her false hope, but on the other hand, she grew up to be a very kind and strong woman. The mirror of karma confirms this, and the judge declares Ja-hong not guilty. The paragon and his defenders head to the next trial. Ja-hong feels sad that he didn't get the chance to give his mother her gift, an electric rice cooker. As a child, his mother cooked rice in an old tin pot, which was now so old that she had burned through many of them. In addition, another letter for his mother is hidden in the rice cooker. Gangrim contacts Ja-hong and lies, telling him that his mother and brother are still alive, but he tells the truth to the guardians. Soo-hong has turned into a vengeful spirit, and they must find him immediately. Gangrim travels to the past to find out what happened to Soo-hong. The boy was on guard duty with another soldier, whose gun wasn't on safety. When the soldier approached to hug Soo-hong, the gun went off and shot him in the stomach. It was an accident. The lieutenant arrived and tried to revive Su-hong, but it was too late. He then hid the shell casing and ordered the soldier to cover up the crime. To avoid trouble, he decided to bury Su-hong's body. But the lieutenant didn't realize that the boy was still alive. Together with the soldier, they dragged Su-hong into the forest and dug a large grave for him. They buried the poor boy alive. The Paragon and his defenders travel through the icy canyon. This is the path to the trial of dishonor, where Jia-hong will be judged for his shameful deeds. But our hero is so righteous that there's nothing to condemn him for at this trial. Suddenly, the icy canyon begins to collapse. Jia-hong and the Guardians jump into a cable car just seconds before certain death. They ride the gondola past sinful souls frozen in blocks of ice. Haewan-mak accidentally reveals to Jia-hong that the vengeful spirit is his younger brother. At that moment, the cable car slips off its track and flips over. The Guardians dangle over the abyss, and Jia-hong saves them using the rope from his firefighting gear. The lieutenant gives the soldier leave and pays him to keep quiet. Meanwhile, Su-hong's vengeful spirit haunts the military base as Gangrim follows his trail. Jia-hong and the Guardians cross a heavenly bridge. The path leads to the trial of betrayal. This part of hell is for souls who betrayed others. They are locked in glass cages, which are then shattered. However, our hero was very righteous, and he is freely allowed to pass through these lands. Gangrim finds Su-hong's spirit in a nightclub. He has followed the lieutenant and wants to crush him with a giant ball. Su-hong flees from Gangrim through space, time and portals, but eventually falls into the Guardian's trap. Gangrim asks him to let go of his useless anger and revenge because his actions are destroying both worlds. But the vengeful spirit doesn't care about any pleas. He was buried alive. What could be worse? He is so full of rage that the whole city is plunged into darkness. At the same time, the soldier goes to the lieutenant and says he can no longer hide the truth about what they did. After that, he goes to Su-hong's house and gives his mother a map with the location of her younger son's grave. Jia-hong and the Guardians approach the abyss of emptiness. This is where he will be judged by the god of cruelty. Haewan-mak pushes Jia-hong, and he falls into the abyss. Only this way can they reach the trial. Meanwhile, the soldier is about to end his life. He puts on a noose and steps off the railing. Gangrim watches this. Su-hong's vengeful spirit appears and asks the Guardian to save the poor soldier. In return, he promises to stop seeking revenge and peacefully move on to the afterlife. Guardians are forbidden from interfering in the world of the living, but Gangrim breaks this rule and saves the soldier. Because of this, the balance in the afterlife is disrupted again, and Jia-hong and the Guardians are nearly crushed by massive boulders. Our hero still manages to reach the trial of cruelty. He is accused of beating his younger brother. He stands before the judge as stone figures show him scenes from the distant past. Our hero remembers that day. Yes, he did beat his brother while their mother slept on the floor in the room. After that night, they never spoke again, because Jia-hong ran away the next morning. Since the criminal did not receive forgiveness from the victim, the god of cruelty declares him guilty and prepares to send him to hell. Haewan-mak asks for help from Gangrim. At that moment, Gangrim is with Su-hong at his grave and orders that they request a general trial. Our hero and his defenders enter a vast desert. This is the territory of the Sons of Disrespect. It is here that Jia-hong must undergo the final trial by the king of the afterlife. Meanwhile, Gangrim escorts Su-hong on the path to the afterlife. Su-hong tells the Guardian about that night when his brother was beating him. It happened because he woke up and saw Jia-hong holding a pillow over their mother's head, intending to take her life. In the desert, Jia-hong admits that back then, he wanted to kill his mother, his brother and himself. His mother was ill, they were poor, and there was nothing good in their lives. That's why Jia-hong ran away, got a job, and began sending his mother money and long letters about his life. Every day, Jia-hong's and Su-hong's mother goes to the gates of the military base. She holds up a sign asking them to find her son. The soldiers usually drive her away, but this time, she makes it onto the base. She is met by the same lieutenant. He treats her rudely and harshly, and when he sees the map in her hands, he throws her so hard that she loses consciousness. Su-hong sees this from afar and becomes enraged, once again transforming into a vengeful spirit. He is so furious that he creates a real hurricane at the military base, swirling together the world of the living and the afterlife. Haewan-mak is thrown back to the living world, leaving only Jia-hong and Deok-chun. Jia-hong is sucked into quicksand. Deok-chun's cry of despair echoes through the worlds and reaches Su-hong. This stops him, the storm calms down, and the trial in the land of disrespect finally begins. The judge is the king of the afterlife, Yama. The verdict is delivered without the right to defense. Deok-chun tearfully interrupts the judge and pleads with him. The king raises the mirror of karma and uncovers a terrible truth. Jia-hong's mother was not asleep when he approached her with the pillow. Our hero is ready to accept his punishment and asks only for one thing, to see his mother and apologize. But the king of the afterlife denies this request. Jia-hong is given his sentence, and at the same time, Gangrim sends Su-hong to visit his mother in her dreams. Su-hong appears before his mother in uniform and tells her that he has been given a job in the heavenly court. They remember the day Jia-hong ran away, and the mother confesses that she doesn't blame him for anything and loves her sons very much. The king of the afterlife, Yama, sees this and announces that since his mother has forgiven him, it is no longer considered a sin, and therefore, Jia-hong is acquitted and can be reincarnated. Gangrim, disguised as a courier, delivers the rice cooker and a letter from Jia-hong to his mother. She reads it and smiles. The Guardians are also happy because the 49th soul, Paragon Su-hong, has appeared at the gates of hell. They decide to fight their way straight to the king of the afterlife, Yama, to be reincarnated as soon as possible.